Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to Game Day. Sort of? Kinda? Happy New Year, everybody. We've done some patron-only stuff so far this year, but for the public, haven't done anything. So this is the first one. So Happy New Year. Happy 2023. Or as it's been told to me, 2020 Part 3 or 4, depending on your point of view. Anyway, welcome. I am your host, Edward Euler. Happy to be joined, hopefully, by y'all. And it's a new year. So what better time to try new things? I am going to do something that I wouldn't normally put out in the public, but there was some interest in this, at least behind closed doors. So I thought I would try something new. And what that is learn a new game cold. So that's what we're going to do. This is not going to be the traditional, hey, come watch Heavy Cardboard teach a game and then play it. That's not what's going on here today. I have a copy here of Votes for Women. Fort Circle Games was kind enough to send me this review copy, so yay, awesome. But they sent this to me, and a good friend of mine, Liz Davidson, has already done a how to play solo stuff video on it, which I haven't watched. I'm sorry, Liz, I have not, but I did that because I wanted to try something different with this game. So if you were so inclined, go check that out afterwards. Absolutely. I am coming into this cold. I have a gist of what the game is. But past that, I've intentionally avoided watching any videos, reading the rule book ahead of time, nothing. It's still in shrink. We're going to bust this open. We're going to check it out. We're going to learn it. And I'm not going to play it today. Okay? So we're going to learn it. We're going to mess around with it a little bit. And then I think on Monday, I'm going to do the normal, hey, how do you play it live? And then we're going to do a solo stream of it. Okay? So yeah, let's see how this goes. But fail fast and let's see. So here we go. Votes for Women, designed by Tory Brown, who I believe works as a, oh shoot, I had the term, but I forgot what it was. Let's see. Tory Brown. There we go. She works in D.C. I know that. I keep wanting to say advocate, but that's not the right word. But yeah, she works in D.C. political world. So anyway, let's get into it, shall we? Okay. All right, let's go. Here we go. So 19th Amendment, obviously, I imagine that y'all know that that's what this is about. It's July 1848 in Seneca Falls, New York. The reading of a Declaration of Sentiments has just lit the spark in the fight for women's suffrage. For more than 70 years, this fight would touch every corner of the U.S. and expose the power and pitfalls of a social movement. Its goal? Ratify the 19th Amendment and secure for women the most fundamental right to vote. There we go. So it plays 1 to 4 players, but there's like an oppo bot or a solo bot, and that's what we're going to be learning with it today. All right. All right, so some of y'all have already checked out Liz's video. That's cool. Good. Have my Earl Grey tea ready to rock and roll. It's snowing outside, so I thought this would be a good time to do this. So, all right, cool. Put this in its esteemed spot where it's supposed to go. All right. We have a plethora, F.A., of dice. Okay. Some wooden bits. We got some decks of cards. So suffragist, states, and I assume, nope, strategy. I assume wrong. was going to say the Appobot. Okay. Rules. Historical supplement. Ooh, nice. We'll go through that. Look at all this fun stuff. What do we got? We have Postal Telegraph Cable Company, Night Lettergram. Alice Paul, 1420 F Street, Washington, D.C. Am informed that parade committee has so strongly urged colored women not to march that it amounts to official discrimination, which is distinctly contrary to instructions from national headquarters. Please instruct all marshals to see that all colored women who wish to march shall be accorded every service given to every other marchers, or given to other marchers. National Am Women's Suffrage Association. I imagine that is a real. A copy of a real telegram that was sent. All right. Oh, awesome. So this is the copy of a voter registration for a Mrs. J.L. Byrne, maybe? Is a legal voter having duly registered on the 9th day of October, 1920. His registration number is number 1. I would argue that would be a her, but that's pretty awesome. Wow, that's really awesome. Again, another copy of that, so that's cool. Ooh, I like the texture of this. It's linen. This is nice. We have sent you many hundreds like this. I'm trying to read what it says up. I can't quite make out the script. As one of your constituents, I wish to express my disapproval of a woman's suffrage federal amendment. The platform of your party is declared in favor of state action, and the voters of your state given a majority of 194,984 against women's suffrage in November 1915. So it's signed by a Wallace Ellis of New Hartford, New York. Okay. Can't imagine why you... whatever. Okay, here's a Spanish flyer, I think this is. That's kind of awesome. Political Equity League, Coral Hall Auditorium Building, LA, California. All right. From 1911. Women's suffrage ballot, specimen ballot. For or against. This is from Chicago. Okay. This is awesome, all this little historical stuff that's in here. Standard Guano? Is that what it says? Standard Guano Company? I think so, yeah. Okay. Baltimore, Maryland, October 20, 1913. Dear Sir, for a Democrat, it is rather hard for me to say that from now on I will have to change around and vote the Republican ticket. I think you're letting in Mrs. Pankhurst, especially now that you have the Mexican situation on your hands, is such that every careful, conservative, and sensible Democrat who has heretofore been with your party should, if has not already done so, change his views of your administration and look forward with pleasure to the next election. That was a convoluted sentence, wasn't it? It is well known in America that every American woman has more rights than any other woman in the world. And to set this firebrand loose, or lose, but loose is supposed to say, is certainly criminal on your part. How do you think England looks upon your encouraging Mrs. Pankhurst and helping her raise funds in America to carry out her fight in England? Yours very faithfully, George A. Whiting, I think. This is some really backwards thinking, ain't it? Oh, Standard Guano, Standard Fertilizers enrich the world. Okay. Wow. Okay. All right. Oh, there's a lot. I keep thinking we've reached the end, but we have not. I can't read this. Second count? Yeah, I've never been able to read old-timey script like this. Like cursive I can read, but this I can't. So it's from the Attorney of the United States for Northern District of New York. Susan B. Anthony down here. I see her signature. Well, maybe not signature, but her name. Oh, it's an indictment. Oh, okay. So the United States of America versus Susan B. Anthony. Indictment for illegal voting. January 24th, 1873, is that? Yeah. Wow. Huh. So it's an indictment, okay? 66th Congress of the United States of America. At the first session begun and held in the city of Washington on Monday, the 19th day of May, 1919, joint resolution proposing an amendment to the Constitution extending the right of suffrage to women. By the way, this couldn't happen right now because we can't even get a speaker, but I digress. Resolved by the Senate and House of Representatives of the United States of America and Congress assembled, 2/3 of each house concurring therein, that the following article is proposed as an amendment to the Constitution, which shall be valid to all intents and purposes as part of the Constitution when ratified by the legislatures of 3/4 of the several states. Article the right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex. Congress shall have power to entice this article. It's kind of blurred out there. By appropriate legislation. Signed F.H. Gillette, I think, Speaker of the House of Representatives. And signed by the Marshall, Vice President of the United States, President of the Senate. So, awesome. Okay. This is obviously a modern flyer for the League of Women Voters, empowering voters, defending democracy. So this is a current one. That's awesome. Southern States Women's Suffrage Conference. Volume 1, Number 1, October 1914. Votes for Women a Success. The map proves it. Make the Southern States white. Interesting. Okay. Oh, white is in the color of the... Got it. White states, full suffrage. Oregon. Proud that my home state is there. So all the white states are that way. Shaded states, taxation, bond or school suffrage. Dotted state, which Illinois it looks like, presidential, partial county, and state municipal suffrage, and black states, no suffrage. Huh. All right. Oh my God. Like, it doesn't end. This is amazing. I've never seen a game this dedicated to historical documentation. I mean, I've seen games with, books like this, right? But this is pretty incredible. Yeah, this is pretty awesome, right? Oh, Tory's here. Hi, Tory. Says we are making a donation to the League of Women Voters from each game sold. Awesome. Yay. And hey, Tory, do me a favor. So I forgot, what is it you do for a living? I had mentioned, okay, awesome. So apparently here in this is a description of all the documents. Yeah, okay. I will go along as we go here now that I understand this. Okay, cool. This one is the American Constitutional League letter. His letter outlines a popular argument against a federal women's suffrage amendment, namely that the nation was founded on majority rule and that there have already been 18 separate elections in which women's suffrage has been defeated. Okay, so let's read it. September 21st, 1918. Honorable Duncan U. Fletcher, United States Senate, Washington, D.C. Dear Senator, it is our belief that democracy with us is confronting a vital crisis, owing to the fact that the president is using his great influence to induce the Senate to ignore the clearly expressed will of the people. We refer to the appeal to the Senate to pass the Susan B. Anthony Amendment as, quote, an essential and psychological element in the war for democracy, end quote. We would respectfully urge that the president be called upon to explain to the Senate and to the country how the kind of democracy upon which this nation is founded, the principle of majority rule, as expressed by the votes of the people, is compatible with what he would have the Senate do. For note the simple fact that, emphasis obviously here, during the past 6 years, there have been no less than 18 separate elections in which women's suffrage has been defeated. The total adverse majorities have been over 1.3 million. On the other hand, all the majorities in favor since the beginning of the agitation 25 years ago amount to less than 200,000. Oh, there's more. Less emphasis now. The suffragists, on the 16th instant, burn the president's words. They evidently think he has the power to pass the suffrage amendment. They ignore the fact that under the Constitution of the United States, he has no authority in this matter. The responsibility is upon the Congress. The appeal of the president is the more amazing in the face of various declarations in which his position regarding this question was unmistakably defined to the country. For instance, his statement to the suffragists January 6, 1970 as follows, quote, I am tied to the conviction, which I have had all my life, that changes of this sort ought to be brought state by state. It is a deeply matured conviction on my part, and therefore I would be without excuse to my own constitutional principles if I lent my support to this very important movement for the amendment to the Constitution of the United States, end quote. It is not now the question as to the right or wrong of women's suffrage, but it is whether the people or the politicians shall rule. With all due respect to the president, and because we hold that his former position repeatedly expressed was right, we solemnly protest that every senator owes it to his country and to his conscience to consider whether there can be a justification for his supporting a measure that aims to nullify the votes of the electorates of numerous states. We protest that this is not the kind of democracy for which this nation is waging war. Rather, it is a betrayal of such democracy. Very respectfully yours, American Constitutional League, Everett Wheeler, Chairman. Or I think Wheeler. Let's go with that. All right. Interesting. Awesome. Okay. Communication strategist. That was it. Thank you, Tory. All right. This here, let me get this right, is the Equal Franchise Society reprint of Abigail Adams' letter. Abigail Adams wrote to her husband, John Adams, during the 1776 Continental Congress, urging him to remember the ladies, quote unquote. Her letter argues against the long tradition of coverture, where men had, quote unquote, such unlimited power over their wives. Right. Well, wives were essentially property there for a while, right? Equal Franchise Society legislative series. Extract from a letter from Mrs. Abigail Adams to her husband, John Adams. I long to hear that you have declared our independency. And by the way, in the new code of laws, which I suppose it will be necessary for you to make, I desire you will remember the ladies and be more generous and favorable to them than your ancestors. Do not put such unlimited power into the hands of the husbands. Remember, all men would be tyrants if they could. If particular care and attention is not paid to the ladies, we are determined to foment a rebellion and will not hold ourselves bound by any laws in which we have no voice or representation. that your sex are naturally tyrannical is a truth so thoroughly established as to admit of no dispute. But such of you as wish to be happy willingly give up the harsh title of master for the more tender and endearing one of friend. Why then not put it out of the power of the vicious and the lawless to use it with cruelty and indignity with impunity? Braintree, March 31st, 1776. All right. Wow. All right. This one is A.L. Wright letter to the Department of Immigration when UK suffrage activist Emmeline Pankhurst visited the United States. She brought controversy in her wake. Until President Wilson relented, Parkhurst was under threat of deportation for quote-unquote crimes of moral turpitude. That's a fun word, turpitude. All right, October 18, 1913, Department of Immigration, Washington, D.C. Dear sirs, I desired to enter protest against the deportation order of Mrs. Emmeline Pankhurst. Ye gods, have we ceased to be a nation headed by men, but by a bunch of mollycoddles, not original, question mark? That we should fear one or 1 million of our mothers and sisters. Respectfully submitted, A.L. Wright. All right, this is the cover of the New York Times, obviously. Still going. This is amazing. Oh, it's the front page of the New York Times. Here we go. This is the composite of all of the suffrage-related articles in New York Times on August 19, 1920. Huh. That's awesome. Okay. Anti-Slavery Bugle. Sojourner Truth from June 21st, 1851. Sojourner Truth's speech at the Women's Rights Convention, today known as Ain't I a Woman, was transcribed by journalist Marius Robinson. Truth's speech is a passionate appeal for a vision of women's suffrage that included black women. Okay, here we go. Let me get a drink of tea a moment. All right. Anti-Slavery Bugle. Salem Columbiana Company. Ohio, June 21st, 1851. Women's Rights Convention. Sojourner Truth. One of the most unique and interesting speeches of the convention was made by Sojourner Truth, an emancipated slave. It is impossible to transfer it to paper or convey any adequate idea of the effect it produced upon the audience. Those only can appreciate it who saw her powerful form, her whole-souled, earnest gesture, and listened to her strong and truthful tones. She came forward to the platform and addressing the president with the great simplicity, "May I say a few words?" Receiving an affirmative answer, she proceeded, "I want to say a few words about this matter. I am a woman's rights. I have as much muscle as any man and can do as much work as any man. I have plowed and reaped and husked and chopped and mowed, and can any man do more than that? I've heard much about the sexes being equal. I can carry as much as any man and can eat as much too, if I can get it. I am as strong as any man that is now. As for intellect, all I can say is, if a woman have a pint and a man a quart, why can't she have her little pint full? You need not be afraid to give us our rights for fear we will take too much, for we can't take more than our pint will hold. The poor men seems to be all in confusion and don't know what to do. Why, children, if you have women's rights, give it to her and you'll feel better. You will have your own rights, and it won't be so much trouble. I can't read, but I can hear. I have heard the Bible and have learned that Eve caused man to sin. Well, if woman upset the world, do give her a chance to set it right side up again. The lady has spoken about Jesus, how he never spurned woman from him, and she was right. When Lazarus died, Mary and Martha came to him with faith and love and besought him to raise their brother. And Jesus wept, and Lazarus came forth. And how came Jesus into the world? Through God who created him and the woman who bore him. Man, where was your part? But the women are coming up, blessed be God, and a few of the men are coming up with him. But man is in a tight place. The poor slave is on him. Woman is coming on him. He is surely behind a hawk and a buzzard. Between a hawk and a buzzard. Yeah, this is pretty amazing. All right, so finally got through that. Here we go, the board. I don't mean to get, you know what I mean. All right. Oh, as I said at the beginning, I am not playing this today. I'm going to go through the rules together with y'all. Yes, I'm going to read through the rule book together. Might not be entertaining. I don't know. Like I said, I'm trying something different today. But I am going to be streaming this, I think on Monday, doing a quote-unquote normal stream of full teach and playthrough. But we're learning it here today. Done. All right. Yeah, this is awesome. I love the historical aspect of this stuff. This is amazing. So. All right. So, here we go. Rules of the game. I mean, it's not a big rule book. There's a reason. Part of the reason I chose this one was I knew it wasn't going to be terribly complex. And, you know, it's not a 2-hour rule book learning. So there's that. But a moment, let's. So I do know that these markers are modeled after actual buttons. I know that much. So, all right. Let me get my card opener. Uh-oh. Just put that anywhere, Eddie. All right. There we go. Forceps. Oh, wait. Never mind. I might not need them. Theoretically. Oh, easy to open card decks. Yay. This brings me joy. I don't need those. Simple things in life. Okay. Oh, hey, Kevin's here. Kevin runs Fort Circle Games. Hi, Kevin. By the way, I appreciate that Halls of Montezuma's coming out on the Marine Corps birthday next year. This year. It's 23 now. So, yeah, that's awesome. I approve of that, which for those that don't know, that is November 10th. Technically 1775, but which means the Marine Corps is exactly 200 years older than I am. Here we go. All right, those are open. Cool, here we go. Let me catch up real quick with chat here. Yes, I very much do appreciate that, Kevin. All right. So hopefully y'all are, enjoying this. Hey, if you're bored, I'm sorry. Like I said, I knew today was going to be a bit of a risk trying something different like this. But yeah. So, okay. Hi, Jess. All right. Here we go. The right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex. Congress shall have power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. 19th Amendment to the United States. By the way, considering, coincidentally, I'm doing this the same time that the Congress is, I assume, back in session to figure out the speaker. Y'all give updates so I can follow along. I'm curious. Have we gone to vote number 12 yet? Just curious. And again, I'm going to say there is a non-0% chance that Democrat becomes speaker. I think the Republicans could go nuclear and be like, look, you're going to have to choose either this or that, and that's that. You know, to where it's simple plurality. I can have the most votes, and so the Republicans will have to choose and kind of hold them over a barrel. I'm just saying, there's a non-zero chance of that happening. All right, overview. Votes for women, an asymmetrical two-sided game that revolves around the battle to ratify or reject the 19th Amendment of the United States Constitution. The suffragist side, which I assume is who we're playing, will push Congress to propose the 19th Amendment, campaign to have 36 states ratify the amendment. Opposition side will try to prevent Congress from proposing the amendment, or, failing that, have 13 states reject the amendment. Okay, so the other side is going to be doing two things, just trying to stop us from even getting Congress to propose the amendment, or if we do that, having 13 states reject it. Okay, so there's two things we're going to have to do there to succeed, assuming we're playing on the right side of history here. Players will add or remove congressional markers as support for the amendment waxes and wanes in Congress. I'm going to assume that's going to be this area right here. While also placing purple and yellow cubes, which are the suffragist side, or red cubes, the opposition side, to reflect their political power in individual states. While a player gains support in a state, they first reduce or eliminate their opponent's cubes as needed before adding their own cubes. So the state will only have purple / yellow or red. Okay, so, and I mean, everything about this kind of screams like 1960, or kind of a Twilight Struggle in 1960, I would say, the election game, which is great, by the way. I think we streamed that. Anyway, once the 19th Amendment has been sent to the states for ratification or rejection, the suffragist side, aka us, I assume, will place a green check in each state that ratifies the amendment, and opposition will place a red X for each state that rejects the amendment. Okay, so here I'm going to need some containers. So we got the red X's, we have the green checks, then we have the purple and yellow on the good side of things. So there, and then there, and then we have some meeples in various shapes. Okay. Wow, these are chunky. These are bigger than I would have thought they would have been. That's awesome. Okay. Oh, this is vote number 12. It's picked up some votes. Interesting. Okay. Oh, Jason Matthews was the senior playtester. Jason Matthews, designer, co-designer of the Struggle series, Twilight Struggle and Imperial Struggle, right? All right, let me grab some containers. Let me see if I can reach real quick. Yeah, these will work. What do we got? We got one for that, and then 3. Yeah, I think that'll work. Okay, cool. One more. I was mistaken. There we go. By the way, Ryan, patron of ours, he made these, 3D printed these. They're magnetic. So that's awesome. I appreciate that. Thank you, Ryan. All right, so put that in one. We'll put check marks in one. Oh, and 1960. Yeah. Obviously, sure. I appreciate the updates. And let's face it, unless you are like intimately involved in the ongoings of Congress, like this is the first time in memory that like any of us really pay attention to the voting Speaker of the House, isn't it? I mean, I don't remember, because it's never gone more than one vote in our lifetime. So, yeah. There we go. I guess one more. Sorry. I have failed y'all a moment. That's fine. There we go. All right. And then these, I'll figure out what to do with those in a moment. We'll just throw them in there to start. All right, we'll get these back out of the shot. And we'll figure that out in a minute. So what y'all are seeing today is basically what I do when I punch a game, which, by the way, I hate punching a game. I know some of y'all live for that. I do not. But kind of lay it all out, and then I mentioned this to Liz, actually, Davidson of Beyond Solitaire. This is what I do. I set the game up for a game and then see how the game speaks to me before I actually go through the rules. So that's what we're kind of doing today. All right, so victory conditions. If the 19th Amendment has not been sent to the states for ratification by the end of 6 turns, the opposition side immediately wins the game. Boo, hiss. If the 19th Amendment has been sent to the states, as soon as the 36th state ratifies the amendment, the suffragist side immediately wins the game. Yay! As soon as the 13th state rejects the amendment, the opposition side immediately wins the game. Boo, hiss, boo. Okay? All right. Because of the importance of the history of the campaign to pass the 19th Amendment, we've included a historical supplement and designer's note booklet, composite of all the suffrage-related stories from August 19, 1920 issue in the New York Times, several historical documents that are described in the supplement. Amazing. Like, legitimately amazing. That was great. All right. The board, I'm going to come back to that. Pieces, the buttons, the cards, all of that. I'm going to come back to it. Setup. This is what I'm going to do right here first. And then, like I said, kind of let the game kind of just show us what it is first. So, this is what this is set up for a 2-player competitive. A moment. Playing with 2 suffragist players. Okay. Playing with 2 opposition players. Managing the Oppobot. Okay. Okay, so here for the setup for this stuff for the Oppobot, I'm assuming. Okay, so I will still do some of this. I will go through and see. Let's see. Set aside the Oppobot deck. That would be that, okay. And the gray and black dice, as they will not be used in a competitive game. So obviously, we need the gray and white dice because we are going to be, okay? Okay, gray and white. So, gray, white. By the way, big thanks to Fort Circle for 8-sided dice. Look, I understand some folks have an affinity for 4-sided dice. Just don't. Do an 8 or a 12, because at least those things roll. please. So thank you for that. Awesome. All right. Place each player's cubes, campaigners, and markers on their side of the board. All right, I'm left-handed, so, well, you know what? My picture's on the right. We'll be on the right. Appobot, you go over to the bad side. There. Okay, so our cubes will be these. There. And I might zoom, I'll probably need to zoom out, I imagine. Be sure to have exactly 2 purple campaigners, 2 yellow campaigners, and 2 red campaigners. Okay, so I'm not sure. Let's see. Okay, so the campaigners are just the ladies there. And the men, so that's those. Okay. 2 alternate design campaigners. Ooh. Which I kind of like the ones with the flags and the angry dude. So I think we will go with those. Only 2 will be used with, okay. So we have the regular and the flags. Let's go with the flags. I dig it. So we need 2 of those. Okay, so we have 2 and 2. And then the angry dudes. Boo, yes, boo. There we go. All right, cool. So I guess that means the rest of these can be thrown away. And by thrown away, I mean back in the box. Relax. Okay. Six congressional markers. I think those are the big white things, but let's see. We're looking for number 12. 6 congressional markers. 3, 6. So 2 of those. Go with the other. Okay, done. Let's see. Where was I here? 36 green checks. I'm just going to assume there are 36 there. And then 13 red X's. Those all count here real quick. What we got? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. All right, there's more than I need. But I suppose I probably ought to actually do that then. Okay. A moment. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 13. Bad guys. Okay, the extras. Fine. What do we got? 4, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 33, 36, 2 extras. 2 extra checks and 2 extra X's. I hear you, Kevin. So Kevin's suggesting like I can set aside decks. This, I'll do it. Take this the right way, but I'm gonna do this. How I'm trying to show folks how I actually go through this process when I don't have designer and publisher, you know, here sitting next to me, so to speak. So 36 check marks, 13 red X's, done. Shuffle the state deck. I'll do that in a bit. And set aside the top 3 cards. They will not be used this game. Okay, so the state deck, right there. So opposition probably will be set aside, sounds like, but all right. So shuffle the state deck. So state deck, well, looks like different states. Okay, okay. Set aside the top 3 cards. Place face up the remaining 9 cards in 2 rows along the bottom of the board. Okay. So, before I do that, in setup. Set aside the opposition deck and the opposition... what are those? Those star things. That. You don't see that? What is that icon? I am looking. Do, 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 do. Looking. Ah, hold on. The cards. Well, what the hell is that? Okay, I see the icon. Oh, right here, a button. Okay, got it. Opposition ones. Okay, so the opposition ones I'm going to assume are that and that. So now that we see those, 6 opposition buttons. Checks out. There we go. Done. Okay. So getting back to this. Set aside the opposition deck and the opposition buttons. So, goodbye. I say good day, sir. Okay, done. As they will not be used by the Appobot. Remove and set aside the 2 strategy cards with a star that say do not use versus Appobot. Checks out. Like, pretty descriptive. Okay, so there are, it says 2 strategy cards with a star on it. Let's just see if that's obvious. Like, okay, no, now I actually have to look. Do not use versus Appobot. Do not use versus, okay, that works out. Okay, cool. So I will set those aside. Cool. Done. Change in plans and opposition research. It actually says which ones they are. Okay, from the strategy deck. Create the Appobot draw deck as follows. I will do that in a little bit. I'm just reading through briefly. Okay, so that's just talking about the... Okay, so the setup is going to be the same, it looks like, outside of that. So, okay, let's see if that works. Did say 2 rows, so we'll try that. Okay, so getting back to this now. Shuffle the state deck. Set aside top 3 cards. Doesn't say anything about looking at them or anything like, well, I guess, obviously, so there are 12, right? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, yeah. Obviously, the 3 that are removed will know because the others are face up, 9 remaining cards in 2 rows. Doesn't say specifically, but it's showing 5 on the top, 4 on the bottom. We'll do that. And from the looks of things, what matters, this is flavor. So we'll be able to overlap them, save a little bit of space here. 3, 4, 5. And it does look like they're not put together like by any... I guess they are kind of done by color, aren't they? Oh, I forgot to discard 3, so we'll set those aside. My bad. So, you know what? I don't want to say I know if the orientation matters in that regard, but oops. Oh, for the love of all that's good and holy. There we go. All right, so obviously the 3 that are out, Virginia, Utah, and Jersey. Okay? Okay, cool. All right. Shuffle the strategy deck, and then draw 3 cards and place them to the right of the state cards. Keep the rest of the strategy deck nearby. All right. And from the looks of it, they're face up. So, 1, 2, and this may change for the solo game, but I'll mess with that in a bit. So, there. Each player creates their draw deck as follows. So then that is going to be our draw deck, it looks like, the suffragist. Separate the events by their era. So, so start. These are all, say, early on them. And it looks like they're all individual pieces of artwork. So it doesn't look like there's any duplicates. That's pretty awesome. Okay, so early, middle, and late. Okay. Separate the cards by their era. Shuffle the late, put them face down, then the middle's on top, then, okay. Then early's, okay. And each player takes a start card in their hand. So this will be there. Kyle says there's something about games with maps and boards of the sides that just gets me. So it says it's supposed to put the buttons at the top of the board. Place a turn marker on the turn. So there. Okay. So late. So these are middle, go on top of the late, and the early is on top of those. Okay. They're color-coded by region because geography is not everyone's strong suit. Okay. All right, that's fair. No worries. That makes sense. So, you know what? Actually, let's do this so that's not, you know, because they're not. I assume the circles are here because tiny states. So that's good for cubes. I'm going to assume goes out there. Again, thinking 1960, right? So there, and that's my start card right there. Place a turn marker on turn 1. On turn track, keep the blue D4, reds. Okay, blue D4. What? Oh, ha! They use 12-sided dice for the D4. Okay. Keep the blue D4s, so really the 12s. Okay. Oh. Keep the blue D4s, the red D6s, and the white D8s nearby. Wait a minute. It does say black and gray dice. Sorry. The gray and black dice, not white. I'm an idiot. Don't mind me. There. So it says keep those nearby. So okay, we will do so. I'll grab a dice tray. All right. So that's it for setup. But now let's double back to the managing the Appobot, or I'm sorry, yeah, the Appobot. So in setup, set aside the opposition deck and the opposition stars, they're not needed, right? And the 2 strategy cards removed. Create the Oppo draw deck as, okay, so you guessed it, probably late, middle. Yep, start card, start card, start card. So apparently the Appobot cheats and gets 3. Okay, early. Middle, and late. All right, so same thing, right? Yep. Okay. Late. So what do y'all think so far about this idea of doing it this way and like learning this, like this format? Like I'm obviously not going to do this terribly often, but once in a while. Okay. So the earlies are on top. Let's see. We'll put their stuff here. Put this draw deck there. These are supposed to go at the top, but I think this will work. It's a man's world, unless women vote. That'll work. So we got angry dudes. We have their dice. We'll figure that out. And then it says keep their 3 cards, their starting cards here out. Something like that. Let's see how that works. Is that too bright? I just realized I can't look at it without with my glasses on, but now my eyes are blurry. So, is that too bright? Let me see. See, and this is stuff that I can't set up before y'all join, because doing it this way. That's too dark. That's way too dark. Yeah, I like that. That'll work. Tell me how that is. All right. Oh, can't read now. Ah, there we go. All right. Apparently my Oppo deck isn't right. Hold on. Separate. Oh, yeah. See? And this is why reading comprehension matters. Remove and set aside the top 2 cards from each era, and then use the rest to create the Oppo. Okay, my bad. Late cards on the bottom. Okay, so I'm just going to assume. So I know these 2 are late cards. That feels like those should be middles. And early, we'll go with those 2. My bad, Kevin, thank you. And since I don't know anything about the game yet, late, late, middle, middle, early, early, good, done. Here we go. Yep, it says so right here. Okay. Place the start cards should be the Patriarchy, the NAOWS forums, and War in Europe. Yep. Face up near the Oppo draw deck. Oppo bot skips the planning phase. Okay. So now, to the best of my knowledge, we are set up. We actually have a second black turn marker, but I will put that with the other. Okay. All right. I'll need a dice tray. Sort of. Just get the small guy. All right. Okay. All right, so now, I dig it. Like, I like what I'm looking at. This is pretty cool. So, strategy cards down here. There may be more. Honestly, looking at this, I think I'm not going to need these for a while because those are going to be, once it goes to the States. So I would think I would want those closer. Same goes with these guys. So those I think we'll throw up there, but have these closer. And then this could be my little play area. I think that makes sense. All right. So now, this feels comfortable. This feels good. Okay. All right. All right. So the board. Map of the U.S. divided in 6 regions, 8 states each. I mean, West, Plains, South, Midwest, Atlantic, and Appalachia, and the Northeast. Each region has a region bubble where the campaigners are placed when in that region. So the campaigners being there. Okay. We'll put these out or these out in a state to show their political power, and then eventually check marks and X's show whether or not a state's ratified. Remember, can only have these or those, can't have both of those on the same state. Certain card events are persistent events. Oh, okay. So cards in effect for the rest of the turn, permanent, and then for final voting. Okay. Pretty straightforward on that one. Congressional track shows a level of support in Congress for women's suffrage. Players will add or remove congressional markers to show the ebb and flow of support of the 19th Amendment. And obviously, game takes place, looks so, at a maximum of 6 rounds. Already covered most of this, but we have campaigners. These are the alternate, but I like those. Okay. So we have the opposition, dudes, angry dudes, suffragists. We have the cubes, represent the political power of each side. Okay. Check marks and red X's, we've covered that. The congressional markers, the term marker. All right, so the dice. 12-sided, 4-sided die. So they're number 1 to 4. The 6-sided are 1 to 6. So 1 to 6. The white dice are 1 to 8. Okay, so those are 8-sided. Okay, got it. And gray dice and black dice used in solitaire. Okay, so those. Suffragist buttons, there are 12 of them up there. Those represent the organizational strength of each side, but again, we removed the bad guy, the wrong side of those. And they're used to re-roll unsatisfactory die rolls, to move a campaigner to a different region, or to bid on strategy cards, and to spend as directed by certain event cards. Okay, re-rolls, moving to different regions, and bidding on strategy cards. Okay? Cool. Good. Easy enough. All right. All right, the cards now. Now, not counting cards that we may or may not have removed. 52 card deck for the suffragists. The opposition is out, which is also a 52 card deck. They have 42 cards in the oppo deck. Strategy is 12. And the state deck is 12, but obviously 3 of those are removed. All right, the event cards. So these are event cards. These up here. And let's see, I haven't set this up at all because didn't know how this was going to set up. But let's see here. There we go. There we go. Okay, so event cards. Where'd that go? There it is. Okay, so we have the title of the card, Seneca Falls Convention. Seneca Falls Convention, sorry, reading. The era, which is, you know, early, mid, late, whatever, or in this case, the start card. Then the event, which is right below the title, okay? Historical text, which is down there at the bottom, and the persistent event icon, if there is. So there will be a little, oh, here. There'll be a little icon for any kind of, you know, for the rest of the turn, or infinity symbol for persistent, etc. down there in the right-hand corner. Okay, cool. All right, good. Okay. It's just telling you that the deck will be set up late, early, mid, late. Some event cards have a prerequisite. For example, the 15th Amendment can only be played if the Civil War is not in effect. The card's in effect if it's in boxes, whatever. Some event cards require the player to roll it shows the specific die. So if it shows a red die, then we're going to roll that die. If it shows a blue die, we're going to roll that one. You get the idea. Okay. Some event cards require a player to roll a whatever and only take action on rolls of 3 to 6. Otherwise, the card is discarded with no effect, even if it has a persistent event icon on it. And we can play buttons if we have any to re-roll, and continue to re-roll as long as you have buttons to spend. Okay, easy enough. Some event cards are persistent events and are marked with, again, the icons that go into the boxes out here. If played as an event, these cards are placed on the board in their respective box. There are 2 event card icons that require specific explanation. So anytime we see the little star in a circle, that represents buttons. We either get or spend a button, depending on how it will be. Because the opposition is not in play, then they're not going to get any buttons because theirs are, well, the oppo bot doesn't get buttons. If it shows a purple or yellow slash cube, I will show you all the icon. That right there. Okay, so it's half yellow, half purple. Allows the suffragist player to place purple and or yellow cubes. For example, if we're placing 2 cubes, you can place 2 purple, 2 yellow, or 1 of each. I imagine they have different implications. All right, so now let's go ahead and let's get to the state cards. A moment on that. That'll work. There, state cards. Let's see. So it's what state it is up top. It is the event text down below. So event text adds 6 cubes, yada, yada, yada. And the third is Oppobot. So where it says Oppobot, checks out. Okay. And then historical stuff down here at the bottom of the cards. Okay. State cards can be claimed when a side has 4 cubes in that state, while strategy cards are claimed either during the strategy phase or via event card play. So let's go ahead and move on over to those bad boys. There we go. I will get there in a minute. Good enough. Strategy cards. Same deal. Name of the card. What we do. Oppobot. Flavor. Cool. Got it. We've already done setup. All right, now sequence of play. Okay. Hey, if y'all are enjoying this, like, give it thumbs. Like, seriously, because if people aren't enjoying this, I'm not going to do it anymore. So your response to this stuff is what's going to dictate, all right? Since this is my first time trying this whole learn with me thing. All right, sequence of play. Game consists of 6 turns. So it doesn't say a max of 6 turns, so I guess we're going 6 turns. If neither player has won after 6 turns, the game goes into final voting. Okay. Each turn, 4 phases. Planning, strategy, ops, cleanup. Planning, each player draws 6 cards from their deck. Now, when I say each player, I'm talking about us. We'll talk about the Oppo deck stuff probably later when we get to the whole, you know, managing the Oppobot stuff. So that's going to be in a few pages. So, talking about us. So, we are going to, during the planning phase, draw 6 cards. When added to either their start card on turn 1 or the card that's held over from previous turns, their hand should begin with 7 cards. Okay, so we will always have 1 card left in our hand. Draw 6. Okay, done. Next is the strategy phase, but we skip this in turn 1. Okay. After looking at the available strategy cards, we announce how many buttons will commit to the strategy phase. And by we, I mean the suffragists. So anytime suffragist or us, synonymous. Okay. So it's between 0 and however many buttons you have, I guess. The opposition player, which doesn't come into play, can defer, match or supersede. Okay. You know what? I'm going to skip the rest of number 2 since there isn't an opposition player. Then, if a strategy card is selected by the player places that card face up in front of them, and another strategy card is placed along the bottom of the board, so there's always 3 available for future turns. Okay. Cool. Okay, so basically, at least in a multiplayer game, we're going to bid some number of buttons, 0 to whatever, and if the opponent defers, then if we have the winning bid, then we get to choose one of these, put it over on our side, and then draw another strategy card. Okay, got it. Cool. Done. So that's strategy phase, but we skipped that in turn 1, or in round 1 anyways. 0 for 12 now, McCarthy. Okay, thank you. Cool. All right, so now ops phase. So planning phase, done. That is draw 6 cards, hand a 7. Second phase, strategy phase. Maybe get a strategy card. Done. That's 2. Now ops phase. That's going to be the meat of the game. There are 6 rounds in the operations phase. In each round, first me, then the opposition, must play a card from their hand and may play one claim strategy or state card. State cards again, 4 cubes out in that state. Okay. Okay, so when it's our turn, must play one of these from our hand, may play one of these or these that we've claimed. Okay, got it. When playing a card from your hand, you have 4 options. Play the card as the event. So the event being do what that thing says. Okay. Play the card for the campaigning action. Don't know what that is yet. Play a card for the organizing action. Don't know what that is. Play a card for a lobbying action. Don't know what that is. Okay. When playing as an event, read it aloud, or if you're playing solo, you don't have to because the bot doesn't have ears. Read it and do it. Some have a prerequisite. If the prerequisite is not met, you can't do it as the event. Makes sense. Some require you to pay buttons to be able to do it. If you don't have enough, can't play it as an event. Some require a successful die roll. If you fail, then this is key. So if the event says roll a die and then carry out the event, you have to succeed on 3s to 6s. If you roll a 1 and 2 and don't re-roll with a button, it's discarded. It's not that it can't. You've tried and failed. Okay. Or you can pay a button and try and re-roll. Okay. After resolving the event, the card is placed in the discard pile. Unless it's a persistent event, then put it down there. Okay. Easy enough. Important to note, apparently, don't want to speak yet because I haven't gone through all the rules. Differences between like Imperial Struggle in 1960, when you play a card for the event, a lot of times it's discarded out of the game. This just says put it into a discard pile. That may be a distinction without a difference. I don't know yet. Okay. Cool. Play a card. Okay, so that is playing as an event. There are 3 other things: campaigning, organizing, or lobbying action. So campaigning action. When a card is played for campaigning action, we roll a d4. I love how that rolls. That's nice. For each campaigner they have in play on the board. If the player is unsatisfied with the roll, spend a button and re-roll all the dice. Okay, so if we have, it'll be between 0 and 4, it appears. Once satisfied with their roll, or you don't have buttons to spend, player assigns a die to each of their campaigners. Okay. Each campaigner may then place the corresponding number of cubes matching the campaigner's color in the states within the region that the campaigner is in. Player can spend a button to move the campaigner to a different region, but all of the corresponding cubes must be put in the same region. Then the card is placed in the discard pile. Okay, here's an example, just sure. Suffragist player has I'm a visual person, so has a purple and a yellow in the northeast. Done. Suffragist player rolls 2 d4s, and they roll 2 1s. Done. Suffragist player decides to spend a button, so we would spend a button, okay, and re-rolls a 3 and a 4, okay. Cool. And that seems like a good idea. A much better result. We assign the 3 to the purple and the 4 to the yellow. The suffragist player decides to place 2 purple in Vermont, 1 in Connecticut, and going to spend a star to move the yellow to the west, so it doesn't have to be doing adjacent. It could just anywhere, okay? And places all 4 in California. Okay, that's pretty straightforward. I get it. Okay. So that is playing it for a campaigner action. Checks out. Got it. Next is an organizing action. When played for an organizing action, player takes as many buttons as they have campaigners in play. That's it. I have 2 campaigners. I take 2 buttons. I don't think the specific buttons don't matter. Flavor, but grab 2 of them. Okay, cool. So grab 2 buttons because 2 campaigners, discard the card. Okay. Fourth option, I guess, is the lobbying action. When a card is played for a lobbying action, player rolls as many d6s as they have campaigners in play. For each 6 rolled, player can add 1 to Congress. Okay, if I rolled that, I'd get to add 1. Or if you're on the wrong side, I guess, remove 1, but we don't need to worry about that. Then place it in discard. And to double back, it doesn't spell it out there, but it does say, yeah, a player can spend buttons. So if I rolled, say, that, don't get to place it, I can spend a button and re-roll them until I'm satisfied or out of buttons. And if I roll 2 6s, then I would get to place 2. Okay, easy enough. Cool. All right, so those are the 4 things I can do. So to recap, play it as the event, do what it says, discard it. Play as a campaigning action, roll 2 d4s, and then place out however many cubes within that region. Got it, for each of them. Or spend a button and they can move. Okay, that's campaigning. Organizing, just discard the card and take a button for every campaigner out there. Or roll d6s and hopefully help out our favor in Congress. Got it. Okay. Okay, lobbying's a Hail Mary. It only happens in about 1 game in 5. Okay, all right, so lobbying's not going to be something we're going to do often. Got it, okay. Now, we play one of these, we must, right, from our hand. We may play 1, 1, if we have them. So now, playing a claim state or strategy card. When we play it, player can play the claim card before or after playing the card from our hand. So we could do this first, or these first, okay? The text on the card is read and resolved, similar to playing a card for the event. Okay, so these are straight up the events. Do what it is, okay. And then it's removed from the game. So strategy cards and state cards are one-time use. Got it. Okay, and I said earlier, you play 1 card from your hand, you must, and then you may play 1, and it's 1 state or 1 event. You can't play both on the same turn. Okay, got it. And then the cleanup phase. After the 6 rounds of the ops phase, meaning we played 6 cards and maybe some of these, okay, after that, go into cleanup. Any cards in the cards in effect for the rest of the turn box are put into their appropriate discard pile. Each player should have 1 card in their hand to carry over, right? Because you have 7 cards, right? So 1 is not played. Advance that. At the end of turn 6. If the 19th Amendment has not been sent to the states for ratification, the game ends in the bad guy's winning. Okay. If it's been sent to the states for ratification, but neither player has won the necessary number of states for victory, the game advances to final voting. Okay. Any cards in the here and here are placed in the appropriate discard piles. Okay. And then there's a whole thing about final voting right there. Okay. And then there's details on some of the things. So talking about the buttons now, that's it. That's the game, like outside of the voting. And sending the amendment to the states. All right, this is pretty straightforward. So the buttons, they're sort of currency, right? Reroll a die, we've covered that. You can keep re-rolling, keep spending buttons. You can't make an opponent re-roll, obviously. You can spend a button to either re-roll or move a campaigner somewhere. And for the bidding, if you will. And maybe spent for events. Okay, got it. Adding or removing cubes in a state, only one side can, right. So for instance, in that example, I rolled a 4, like so. There, that is 1, and then I would add 3 in California, or 1 in California, 1 in Nevada, 1 in Utah, however I want to do that. You get the idea. Once it's empty of cubes, then your side gets added, right? When an event directs a player to remove cubes of a particular color, this effect is limited to that particular color and only to what the opposing player has on the board. A player will never add their own cubes when directed to remove their opponent's cubes. So for instance, I don't know, just doing a what if. Remove 2 cubes in California from the opposition, or remove 2 cubes. It's not remove 1, add 1. So it's just straight up remove. Do what it says. All right, got it? If a state has already ratified or rejected the 19th and they have a check mark or an X then in it, can't add cubes because that's been settled. Okay? Claiming state and strategy cards. Game begins with 9 of the states available. When a player places their 4th cube in a state, you claim it. Player does not lose the card if a subsequent player causes them to drop below the 4 cubes. So the 4 cube is in the moment, I have it, boom, I can claim the card. Got it. There are only 9 available per game. So those 3, the Utah and whatever other ones were removed, are out for this game. And when a strategy card's claimed, new one's immediately drawn from the deck. Always put up face up in front of the player. You can play one of them, right? And then once it's played, it's removed from the game. However, when an op-bot claims one, it immediately does it. So it can't hold on to it. We can. All right, sending the 19th Amendment to the states. When there are 6 of these bad boys here, remove all of these from Congress, and the congressional portion of the game is complete. For each state that has at least 4 of our color cubes, remove the cubes, put a check mark. They've ratified the 19th Amendment. For each state that has 4 of the bad boys, put an X. They've rejected the 19th Amendment. As play continues, every time a state has 4 here, put a check mark. Vice versa. The moment the 36th check mark is out there, okay, game ends, 13 of those. Game ends. Okay. Done. All right. We'll talk about final voting, managing the OpBot. Okay. And that's it. If after 6 turns, 19th Amendment has been sent to the state, but neither player has won, 36 and 13, game enters final voting. Players take turns, starting with the suffragist, selecting a state to vote on the 19th Amendment. Roll a 6. In either side, it says, can spend a button to re-roll their die. If a player has cubes in the state, add that number to their roll. So if you have 2 cubes, it's a +2 to your roll. Okay. Whoever has the highest roll wins the state. Bad guys win ties. However, there is a card that maybe says we win ties. Okay. I don't think I need to go through it. Okay. All right, cool. The OpBot, here we go. We already got the setup right. In the strategy phase, strategy phase is when we would vote for or put out buttons for these. After the suffragist side announced the number of buttons committed, the OpBot rolls a 4-sided die. If it exceeds the die roll, then we get a strategy card. So I have to have put out at least 2 for that to matter. Never put out 1 because I have to exceed the number. Not equal to, but I have to exceed the number. If we, hold on. If it ties on the die roll, neither side selects a strategy card. If the die roll's higher, it picks one at random and immediately plays it for the effect listed on the card. Regardless of the outcome, we spent the buttons. So we'll roll a d6 and a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that type thing. Okay, got it. Then in the ops phase, OpBot will either play a card for the event or play a card to take a campaigning action. If it is the first round of the odd rounds, OpBot will play its face-up event card for the event. Otherwise, the OpBot draws the top card from its draw deck and determines if it's played for the event or the campaigning action. Okay, so a moment. Let me reread that now. In the ops phase, the OpBot will either play a card for the event or play a card to take a campaigning action. If it's the first round of turns 1, 3, and 5, it'll play its face-up event card for the event. However, the thing I want to point out is it has 3 cards at the beginning of round 1. So which one do you play? We'll figure that out. Otherwise, it draws the top from a draw deck and determines if it's played for the event or the campaigning action. Okay. So what I'm gathering is one of these is for event 1 or round 1, round 3, and round 5, I think. Several of the OpBot event cards say play if. If the condition is met, then it's played for the event. Otherwise, the card is played for the campaigning action. A card will also not be played as an event if doing so would provide no benefit to the OpBot. This occurs on the rare occasion that the event text directs cubes to be placed in a region, but all the states in that region already have a checker X. Okay. Some events add cubes without specifying a state. The state is determined by using a D6 and a D8. The 6 determines the region and the 8 determines the state. Each region's 1 to 6. Okay, got it. And the state is 1 to 8. Oh, cool. Now I see the numbers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, well, that's cool. That's pretty good. Okay. If the region state rolled already has that, re-roll the 8 until a state that is not ratified or rejected, right? If all states in a region have it, re-roll the 6 to determine another region. There's an example. I don't think we need that. When the Opobot places a 4th cube in a state with a state card, Opobot claims the state card and immediately plays it for the Opobot effect listed on the card. I assume then discards it. When the Opobot plays a card for campaign in action, roll a 6 to determine the region, and then move Angry Dude to that region. If there's an available unclaimed state card from that region, the Opobot will add cubes to that state. If there are 2 available state cards from that region, Opobot will pick one at random. If there are no available state cards, Opobot will roll a 6 and add cubes to that state. Then roll a d4 to determine the number of cubes to add. Okay. If placing cubes after the 19th Amendment has been sent to the state causes an X to be placed there, and there are unused cubes remaining from the roll, place those cubes in an adjacent closest states within that region. I'll cross that bridge when we get there. I'll reread it then. Remember, if there are 2 Opobot campaigners in play, do this twice, once for each Angry Dude. Okay, got it. In final voting, the Opobot will always select the state with the most cubes. If there are no states with cubes in the state, if there are no states with cubes, then the state with the least of our cubes. Opobot rolls the gray 6 or gray 8 in final voting. For increased difficulty, you can use the black. That during the strategy phase and the campaign. Oh, well, those have higher numbers. Got it. All right, that's it. Yeah, Tory says, for final voting, think penalty kicks after overtime in a soccer match. Cool. That's it. Well, that's pretty simple. I mean, relatively speaking, that's actually really simple. And it seems like it's just a bunch of dice rolling for the Opobot. However, here's my question. Let me get back to the Opobot setup. In setup, set aside those things. Create the deck. Done. Place the 3 start cards, Patriarchy, face up near the draw deck. Patriarchy. Oh. So what I'm gathering then is it's round 1, round 3, round 5. So Patriarchy's round 1. NAOWS Farms is round 3, and round 5, we play those as the event for the very first action. So there's 6 rounds in the ops phase. So round 1, ops phase, then rounds 2 through 5, or 2 through 6, we draw. Same goes with round 3, round 5. Read the text on the cards. Play in round 1, play in turn 3, play in turn 5. Yep, checks out. Thanks, Kevin. So it checks out. I mean, that makes sense. I get that. Okay. So that's it. That's how we play it. This is pretty simple. And by simple, I don't mean that as a disparaging. I just mean, okay, should be easy enough to get rolling on this. I am legitimate. See, I'm pissed off. Now I want to actually get into the game, but I figure we've been going long enough for today. And this allows me to do it on Monday. So, yeah. All right. Cool. There. Awesome. Yeah, I'm stoked to play this. I really am. And I still cannot get over all of this. Like, this is amazing. And the thing is, it adds nothing to the game from a mechanical standpoint. If none of this was there, I'm throwing things. If none of this was here in the box, the game would be just fine. However, having these things just adds a little emotional attachment to the game, I think is a good way to say it. So I've never seen a game that does it to this degree. That's awesome. That's really cool. Yeah. So, hey, Monday, we're going to do this for real. We're going to actually do a full teach and playthrough. Teach is going to be really simple because now that I've gone through the rules, I feel like I've already digested it. And yeah, so big thanks to Kevin over at Fort Circle for sending us this. I didn't even ask for it. He just sent it. So appreciate that. And yeah, I'm happy to do stuff like this. And support small publishers, well, publishers in general, but especially the small ones. So thank you, Kevin, for that. Big thanks to Tory. I didn't expect, I tagged her in Twitter, so I appreciate you taking time out of your workday to stop by. So I'm excited to tackle this. I'm excited. When I play this on Monday, I'm actually going to read all the historical text. So it's going to be a longer stream than the game needs to be. But I figure, again, if you're going to include all this, you kind of gotta, right? So I'm going to read all the historical aspects of all the cards. So it's going to take me a bit to get through the game, but I think it'll be worth it. I think that'll be really, really good. Yeah, so stoked. I'm looking forward to this. So again, big thanks. Thanks to everybody that hung out for this. Didn't know how this would go. I didn't know if this would be... Yeah, leave a comment down below and let me know if this is something you want to see on occasion. Again, it's not going to be all the time. It's not going to be for massive games, but the other one that I was thinking about doing was Flashpoint South China Sea. I thought that would be a good next one if there's interest for this type of thing. And then obviously I'll do my normal, teach and playthroughs of them, and predominantly solo. I don't know that I'll limit it to solo stuff, but I don't know. We'll see. I just thought, hey, this is something I can do solo, so this kind of made sense. Maybe a game that offers solo that isn't specifically solo, kind of like this, Votes for Women. So, yeah. But yeah, let me know. Tell me what you think about this, whether or not you find this content worthy of your time and, compelling enough to watch. So certainly would appreciate it. If you all enjoyed it, give it a thumb, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Consider supporting the show. Patreon.com/HCHQ. Rent goes up, bills go up, so I need the support here to keep the channel going. So certainly, if you find value in what it is I do here on the channel, what we do on the channel here, consider supporting for a few bucks a month. Certainly would appreciate it. We will be back tomorrow. Unexpectedly, kind of a non-traditional day because it's game day here. Saturdays are. But Saturday, tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern. Nice see ya. We're going to be streaming this 5-player. So keep an eye out on that. Also, got a couple of prototypes in recently. Terminus from Inside Up Games in Arborea from Alicat. Those are going to be coming from y'all or for y'all in the next few weeks. So be sure to tune in for that. And I'll be back Monday with the playthrough, Votes for Women. So thanks for the support. Thanks for tuning in. Y'all have a great rest of your day. Take care, everybody.